Mining is an important activity. Now this is incorrect, right? Mining is a commercial activity in general, and mining is not part of this pastoral nomadism. One can eliminate that also. So you can see that D is the correct answer here.
The cashew nuts are native to India. This is incorrect. Cashew nuts are not native to India, rather they were introduced back in 16th century. It was the Portuguese who have introduced the cashew nuts as the cash crop in India. Rather it is the native of Brazil. It is the native of Brazil.
So which of the following instruments, it's a factual question, are covered under the Payments and Settlement Systems Act? It is credit card, debit card, UPI. This bank guarantee is not covered under this particular act. Apart from that, the NEFT transactions, the RTGS transactions, all are covered under this Payments and Settlement Systems Act 2007.
A government interdiction on the progression and operationalization of artificial intelligence. Digital arrest is not a government interdiction. Matlab that government is not doing those arrests.
She was the queen of Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah, in whose honor the city of Hyderabad was supposed to be named. Hyder Mahal, Hyderabad. Hyderabad-based playwright Muhammad Ali Beg's famous play Diloka Shahzada revolves around the love story of the Sultan and the Queen. Which of the following personalities is mentioned here? Yes, she was in news, Bhagmati.
Next generation sequencing can be utilized for whole genome sequencing, targeted reach sequencing, RNA sequencing to study gene expression. This statement is right. I mean, like, these all are different applications of next generation sequencing.
Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. This is Panchsutra 1 discussion for your prelims examination. So you all may have given the test. Those who have not given the test, the question paper and explanation is attached in the description of this video. You can attempt by yourself and try to evaluate. These AIPMTs at all India level are very important for, we can say, clearing this examination. And why I am saying this, because you need to understand where you stand in the competition and you need to solve the quality MCQs for that matter. And Panchsutra test, total 5 tests are there, and these tests will provide you such quality questions, and we can say that real-time simulation kind of tests. Now, first of all, we'll let's say have small announcement regarding the marathon batches that are going to start Lukmaan IAS. From 18th of next month, 18th of March, we are going to have marathon batch. From the last year's grand success for this particular batch, we are again launching the marathon batch for your prelims examination, and there will be total 7 sessions. Polity 2 sessions, geography, ecology, environment, history, art and culture, economy and science and technology, wherein for 10 hours a day, there will be continuous teaching by the faculties, and you will be provided with quality notes, last minute revision notes, and 200 MCQ booklet for a particular subject. And along with that, polity session will be started by S. Ansari sir himself. 70 hours of learning and revision. Thereafter, you are very well prepared for giving the mock test. So you can join this batch, and the fees is very nominal. Those who are already Lukmaan IAS students, for them certain concessions are owed. So it is starting on 18th of March. You can join this particular batch. Now, first geography discussion. Yes. So those who have given the earlier AIPMTs of Lukmaan IAS, they know about the quality of questions, and we are continuing that further in the Panchsutra test. Panchsutra tests are being conducted since last 3 years, and they are very well acknowledged and appreciated by most of the students who are clearing this prelims examination. So for that, you should be also giving these tests if you want to clear 2025 prelims. For geography, you all are aware about the trend that UPSC is following. The trend is very simple, that majority of the questions are from your mapping section and the conceptual questions, or we can say applied questions based on the concept. And we are trying to continue with that trend with certain questions from your human and economic geography part, like resources and industries and infrastructure related developments in the country. Now, let's talk about the first question. Quickly we'll solve these MCQs. The explanation, the question paper is attached in the description of this video. You can download it, you can read the detailed explanation later on. So yes, regions in news and the countries match the following type of question that UPSC has been asking since last 3-4 years continuously. Okay, so Kordofan region, yes, it was in news. It is a conflict prone region of Sudan. So Sudan, last year prelims 2024, UPSC has already asked question on that. So Sudan is facing the conflict between, we can say, the armed forces and the paramilitary forces, and the civilians are facing a lot of problem. There is refugee crisis, and this Kordofan region has been, we can say, the area where there has been like civil war in the past in Sudan. So this is correctly matched. What about this one, Ituri province? It was also asked previously by UPSC, and it was recently news because of that M23 rebellion, North Kivu province. Right, so north of that North Kivu province in Democratic Republic of Congo, this particular Ituri province is located. So it is not in Nigeria, it is located in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, Central African nation. Now, Latakia port. This Latakia port was also in news. We can say it is being developed as a major economic hub in Syria, not in Lebanon. Okay? It is, we can say that in Syria, Mediterranean Sea. So it is incorrectly matched. So this one. Now Kursk region was also continuously in news because of Ukraine-Russia war. But this region is not located in Ukraine, rather it is located in southwestern part of Russia, having border with Ukraine. So it is located in Russia, where Ukraine is making certain advances in this Kursk region. So only one pair is correctly matched here. So answer is A. Quickly moving on to second question. Yes. Consider the following statements regarding makhana cultivation in India. So recent new announcements made by, we can say that our finance minister in Union Budget 2025-26, that makhana board will be established in Bihar. So it was in news, right? So let's talk about the basic question, because from geography the question will be from crops and their production, exports, imports in the country. And the basic information they will ask about crops, like whether it is tropical crop or we can say subtropical, or it is native to India or not. Such kind of statements will be there. Yes, it is grown in tropical and subtropical climates. That is true, we can say that. Now, India is the largest producer of makhana in the world. This is also true. About 70 to 75% of we can say overall production around the world of makhana happens in the country. So this is correct. Uttar Pradesh is the largest makhana producing state. अब ये आप logically भी eliminate कर सकते हैं. It is the Bihar. 90% of makhana production we can say happens in the Bihar state, and that's why it is being promoted also by the central government. Okay, so this is incorrect. Only two statements are correct here about this. Okay, so let's talk about next question. B is the correct answer here. Yes. So pastoral nomadism can be identified with which of the above features? Pastoral nomadism, we learn about the types of primary activities in NCERT, 12th standard NCERT, Human and Economic Geography, and there we learn about pastoral nomadism. So as the name suggests, pastoral or nomadism, nomads, they move from one place to other place, and based on, we can say that the availability of the grass, or we can say that the food for the animals that they are moving from one place to other place, domesticated animals. So this relates to, we can say that the overall aspect of what we can say this animals, right? So animals depend entirely on natural vegetation. That's why they move from one place to other place, as they in search of food, we can say, for these animals. Yes, it is subsistence activity. There is no commercial angle involved here. So this is, we can say, correct. Each nomadic community occupies well-defined territory. So you can see that even in India, if you see the Himalayas, the nomadic herders, you can see the Bhotiyas, Bakarwals or Lepchas, So they are found in certain regions. No, they have well defined, we can say, territory marked. So this one is correct. Mining is an important activity. Now this is incorrect, right? Mining is a commercial activity in general, and mining is not part of this pastoral nomadism. One can eliminate that also. So you can see that D is the correct answer here, right? Pastoral nomadism. Next question. With respect to diverse landforms that can be seen throughout the continent of Africa, what does COBJES refer to? Yes, the typical geographical term is asked here, COBJES, which is there in GC Leong also. COBJES are basically the Anselberg. Those having geography optional, they might get this correct. COBJES are the Eisenbergs. Eisenbergs are basically the small remnants or hillocks where we can say there has been severe weathering and erosion, and rocks are basically standing in the plains region. So that kind of, we can say, topography, isolated rocky hills or mounds formed by the withering in savanna region. So this is the correct answer about, we can say, COBJES. Now moving on. Yes, now this new type of framing that UPSC has introduced, statement 1, statement 2 and statement 3, and look at the options they are framing. So last year there was one such question. So in this year we are expecting that there will be increased number of questions, and that's why in this Panchsutra test we have added from each and every section or subject such kind of one framing, and we want you to, let's say, practice such kind of questions more. So here what we have to understand is the statements 2 and statement 3, generally they are talking about how they are explaining, whether they are explaining the statement 1, whether they are correct, and whether they are explaining the statement 1. Earlier there were only statement 1 and statement 2 type of question. So there the statement 2 is explaining the statement 1. So वहाँ पर क्या था, एक ही रिलेशन था, यहाँ पर दो चीज़ों से रिलेशन पूछ रहा है, right? So regions of Europe under the influence of marine west coast climate face warmer winters for its latitude. That is true. If you see the western part or northwestern part of Europe, it is having a warm and humid climate comparatively compared to that particular latitude. If you see the Canada and other regions, it is not that much warm. And let's say the reasons, two reasons are there. One is, we can say that the western coast of Europe comes under the influence of cold North Atlantic drift. This is not cold, right? North Atlantic drift is a warm current. It is a warm current. So this statement is incorrect. Yes, it comes under the influence of warm North Atlantic drift. Once the Gulf current emerges out of the Gulf of Mexico, then it becomes, we can say that after that North Atlantic drift, and it reaches to up to North Sea in this region, and it brings warmer temperatures. Now statement 3, the cold and dry easterly trade winds from inner continental parts of Europe blow through its western coast in winters. Now we can say trade winds यहीं से eliminate कर सकते हैं आप. It's about 50-60 north. There we do not see trade winds, right? There will be, of course, the westerlies, and the westerlies here are throughout year onshore, and they bring warmer temperatures and humid conditions. So this is incorrect. So we can say that neither statement 2 nor statement 3 is correct. D is the correct answer for this question. Understood? Try to practice such more questions from geography section. We can expect more questions. Again, we can talk about the production of particular crop. Andhra Pradesh is the largest turmeric producing state in India. Talking about the turmeric, India is the largest producer, consumer and exporter of turmeric in the world, contributing to about 75% of world's turmeric production. And the largest producer is Maharashtra, thereafter Telangana, not Andhra Pradesh. This is incorrect. Kerala is the largest coffee producing state. One can easily eliminate that. We know about 70% of coffee production alone is by Karnataka, not Kerala. Odisha is the largest oil palm cultivating state in the country. This is incorrect. It is Andhra Pradesh. It is Andhra Pradesh, the leading oil palm cultivating and producing state. We can say this is incorrect. All three statements are incorrect here. So we are asked to find the correct statement. So none of them is correct here. D is the correct answer, right? Now Let's talk about next question. Regarding thunderstorms. Okay, thunderstorms are basically the towering cumulonimbus clouds found in tropical and subtropical regions where there is intense heating of the ground and when there is sufficient moisture is available. So when we talk about moisture, so wind or air that is moving up, it should be carrying moisture and that will lead to instability. So here the atmospheric instability plays the major role. Look at the fourth statement. There should be moist and stable air, unstable air. Moist and unstable air that is moving up. Unstable air will move up. Stable air will come down from the upper atmosphere towards the lower atmosphere. So this is incorrect. Look at the first statement. Thunderstorms are common features in the let's say weather conditions of higher latitudes. I told you it is largely concentrated in tropical and subtropical regions rather than higher latitudes. They are seldomly found in higher latitudes. Okay, so this is incorrect. Look at the options. 2 and 3 only, automatically we are getting that answer. Look at these statements. Normal lapse rate should be greater than adiabatic rate of temperature change for thunderstorms to occur. This is true. Normal lapse rate is, we know, 6.5 degrees Celsius per 1 kilometer. When we talk about normal lapse rate, it is simply the temperature decrease as we move up in the atmosphere from the ground. And when we talk about adiabatic rate of temperature change, it is simply when the air is not losing the heat with its surrounding and how the temperature changes when that air is moving up and down. That is adiabatic change of temperature. And here for thunderstorm, the normal lapse rate should be greater than adiabatic rate of temperature change. That means the wind, when it is moving up, it should be quickly losing the heat to the surrounding and condensing down, and there should be cloud formation. So this is correct. The greater the instability of warm and moist air, the greater intensity and duration of thunderstorm. That is true because that is providing energy to the thunderstorm. So 2 and 3 only is the correct answer to this question. Now moving on, yes, 3 columns they are asking in the match the following type of question. Now in last year they have asked certain questions from history, geography, from let's say this type of framing. Location, infrastructure projects and state or union territory. Khavda, yes, it is located in Kutch. World's largest renewable energy park is coming up here. It was in news because it is located very near to Pakistan border there. In Gujarat, Kutch region. Okay, Khavda, this is correctly matched. Muppandal, India's largest offshore wind farm, Tamil Nadu. Kanyakumari district, Tamil Nadu, that is true, but it is not largest offshore, it is largest onshore wind farm in India. So it is very, let's say, unique information. And Puga Valley, everyone knows that the geothermal energy plant first in India, and we know that it is not located in Jammu and Kashmir, it is located in Union Territory of Leh Ladakh. Ladakh Union Territory, it is given in NCRT. Right, so this is incorrectly matched. Only one pair is correctly matched here. A is the correct answer. Next is the way UPSC has asked question regarding Ganga and its tributaries in 2024 prelims. We are asking this here for Brahmaputra with reference to Himalayan rivers joining Brahmaputra downstream of Namcha Barwa from east to west. From east to west. So first of all, there will be Lohit river when Brahmaputra is moving like this. So here first Lohit, तो यहाँ पे 2 ही ऑप्शंस है, A और C एलिमिनेट हो गया. उसके बाद देखिए वहाँ से ऊपर से सियांग रिवर आती है, सियांग इज देयर, देन सुबनसिरी इज देयर एंड देन मानस आसाम. ठीक है, so this is the correct sequence. We can say B is the correct answer. So mapping atlas reading from the static part is also very important for our examination. Now again statement 1, statement 2, the winter season in India is the least cyclonic activity. That is true. Winter season November, December, January, and this is not the season for cyclones in India. The pre-monsoon and post-monsoon seasons of cyclonic activity is there. So pre-monsoon we can say that April and May, and we can say that when we talk about post-monsoon generally it is September, October, right? So why? The reason is of course the apparent movement of sun towards Tropic of Capricorn in southern hemisphere. So there are cooler temperatures in the Bay of Bengal and it does not fuel the cyclonic activity. So this is, we can say, correct. there is no formation of cyclones at the equator. Now it is not explaining, we can say statement 1. This is individually correct, we can say separately correct statement. Why there is no formation of cyclones at the equator? Because at equator we have zero Coriolis force. And when we talk about the conditions, suitable conditions for formation and intensification of cyclones, tropical cyclones, one of the important condition is presence of Coriolis force. Why? Because it will allow to deflect the wind around the low pressure, and that's why there will be clockwise or anti-clockwise movement, we can say depending on northern or southern hemisphere, and there will be now the cyclone formation. But at equator, simply the winds are filling up the low pressure and they are not moving around it to form the cyclonic movement. So both are individually correct and they are not explaining each other. B is the correct answer. Okay. Now next statement. Oceans in the northern hemisphere record relatively higher temperature than the southern hemisphere. This is true, we can say that. Why? Because the isotherms, if you see the map of isotherms, they are largely towards north of equator. Maximum temperature is not recorded at equator, to the north of equator we can say slightly, and this is the reason why, because northern hemisphere has more land as compared to ocean surface, and southern hemisphere has more ocean surface as compared to land. So land is quickly heating and absorbing heat, and somehow that is exchanged with the ocean surface also through wind circulation, and because of that there will be warmer sea surface temperatures in the northern hemisphere as compared to southern hemisphere, where we have, we can say, ocean surface more as compared to northern hemisphere. Because ocean surface is more, they will be absorbing all the heat and they will be redistributing, and that's why the surface temperatures will not be more there. So we can say A is the correct answer because both statements are correct and statement 2 is correctly explaining the statement 1. Next, Katanga Plateau or Katanga region, famous for its copper and cobalt reserves, is in which of the following countries? Yes, it was in news again. The country is in news, that is DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. The southern part of this country is Katanga Plateau, and it is rich, having rich cobalt and copper reserves, and India has interest for, we can say, the cobalt. It is critical mineral, and already UPSC has asked question on cobalt reserves, because the country is having more than 70% of the cobalt reserves of the world. DRC 2023 prelims question. Okay, so that's why we have asked question in the other manner. B is the correct answer. All right. Again, match the following, the dates and seasons. Very simple. If you give a thought of half a minute properly, you will able to mark this correct. Now, how many of the pairs are correct? So 21st March, it is vernal equinox, we can say that, in the northern hemisphere, and there should be spring in northern hemisphere, not in southern hemisphere. After winter there will spring, then there is summer, then after autumn, and then after winter. This is how the 4 seasons are there. So we can say this is incorrect. 21st June, summer in northern hemisphere, that is correct. Summer solstice is there. 23rd of September, autumn in southern hemisphere, this is incorrect. There will be autumn in the northern hemisphere at this, we can say that, point of time. So this is incorrect. 22nd December, winter in northern hemisphere, that is correct, we can say, because this is going to be winter solstice, or we can say that the Tropic of Capricorn, the sun will be overhead above the Tropic of Capricorn. So 2 and 4, only 2 statements are correctly, or pair are correctly matched here. B is the correct answer. Then with reference to India, the terms Oran, Sarna, Kavu, Jahera refers to glaciers, sacred groves, mangroves, saline lake. So yes, these terms are related to sacred groves. Okay, these are the sacred groves. For example, Kavu in Kerala, or this is in Odisha, Jahera, or Sarna in Jharkhand. Okay, so these are the regional names, or let's say typical names given to sacred groves in different parts of the country. So B is the correct answer, right? Now moving on. Yes, this is the last question for geography section. Recently, lot of potash reserves has been explored in Punjab state. That's why it was in news. ठीक है, इसलिए news में था कि Punjab there will be mining of this particular mineral. Regarding that, sulfate of potash. Potash is very important mineral for used as a fertilizer. NPK. ठीक है, potash. Now, two important variants here. Sulfate of potash is free from chloride, while muriate of potash contains some chloride. This is correct, and this is of high quality and used for high, let's say, quality, and we can say that cash crops. ठीक है, तो वहाँ पर use किया जाता है. While this one, where we have high, let's say, calorie content crops, or we can say that crops like wheat, rice, वहाँ पर जो है muriate of potash use किया जाता है. The largest potash reserves in the country are found in the state of Punjab. अब confuse हो सकते हैं, recently news में था, but about 80% or 90% reserves of potash they are in Rajasthan. They are in Rajasthan. Okay. So this is incorrect. India is self-sufficient in availability of mineral potash. This is incorrect. Largely we are importing the potash as a fertilizer, use of fertilizer industry, or we can say that fertilizer in agriculture. So this is incorrect. Only one statement is correct here. So these are the geography questions. If you have any question, you can ask in the comment box and we will try to resolve your query. Fine. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. So I'm Sumanjit Kaur. I'll be discussing the environment section questions with you from the Panchsutra 1. So let's dive right in. Well, before beginning, I just want to say that please be a little patient, listen to me carefully, since I won't be able to write much on the board. So let's start with the question number 41. So first question is regarding the plastic. The plastic pollution, it's very important topic for us. So whatever is repeated in the newspapers, that becomes important source. From that we have this question. First statement is that the footwear and the foot mats are generally made of the thermoplastic polyurethane. Now this statement is actually correct. Okay. Understand that this specific plastic, the thermoplastic polyurethane, it is having the combined properties of both rubber and plastic. It means it will be rigid. At the same time, it's going to be flexible also, and this is the reason that it is suitable to be used in making your footwear and the foot mats. Okay? Second statement, the polyolefins, they can be used to make the packaging material. This is actually a correct statement. What are polyolefins? Understand, the polythene, the commonly used word which we all are familiar with. Now that is also a type of the polyolefin only. If you know even about polythene, you can derive this statement. So this statement will be correct here. Okay? So in polyolefins you have the polyethylene and you have the polypropylene. Okay? These will be your polyolefins, which are basically having the alkene monomers. Okay? Third statement, that the polyolefins can easily biodegrade in the environment unlike the TPU. Now this is actually incorrect statement. Both of these, be it the polyolefins or the thermoplastic polyurethane, both of these are hard to naturally degrade in the environment because of their chemical composition. Okay? So remember, these both are non-biodegradable. Okay? Next one, both the TPU and polyolefins can be recycled. This statement is correct. So if we see here, 3 statements are correct, 1 is incorrect, answer will be C. Is it okay? Next one. Next question is from the species. Let's see these. The first pair, black colored yellow catfish, Chalakudi river. This is actually correctly matched. Golden mahseer, Kaveri river. This is incorrect. I'll explain why. Saffron red-tailed damselfly, Western Ghats. This is also correct. So here the incorrect one is the matching of golden mahseer with the Kaveri river. Previously, until 2018, it was generally understood that this particular species of mahseer, which is a fish, that it is found in the Kaveri river. But further research was carried out and it was established that the genus of the mahseer fish, that is common in case of golden mahseer and the humpback mahseer. Now it is the humpback mahseer which is endemic to the Kaveri river. Okay, not the golden mahseed. Golden mahseed rather you will find it in the Himalayas. In the Himalayan rivers, the Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra and their tributaries, there we are going to find the golden mahseer, which is a fish. One of the favorite topics of UPSC. So remember this. Is it clear? So here if we see two pairs are correctly matched, one is incorrect. So answer will be B. Let's see the next question. Waste to wealth, important topic for UPSC. Steel slag, it has been asked previously also. And most recently, India's first steel slag technology based road construction, the National Highway 66 was inaugurated. So in that backdrop, we have this question. So let's see the statements. It is a waste product formed when the molten iron is treated with the limestone during the steel making process. This is actually rightly describing the process of steel slag, which is obtained as byproduct, as the waste from the iron and steel industry. The next one, it can be used as the road base material to reduce the carbon footprint of the roads. This is correct. Often it is suggested that if we mix steel slag with the bitumen, instead of using the natural aggregates, if we mix the waste product like steel, slag in the bitumen, that is more eco-friendly way of constructing the roads and the greenhouse gas emissions is going to be reduced as such. So this is also correct statement. Third statement, it is suitable for the treatment of acidic soils. This is also correct. Please note, now we should know why. See, if you see the basic characteristic, the nature of the steel slag, that is alkaline. It is alkaline in nature. Okay? Since it is also having the compounds of calcium, magnesium, okay? So by that virtue, it becomes alkaline and it will be suitable for neutralizing the acidity of soil. So here all the three statements are correct. Answer will be C. Question number 44. Which of the following organisms is uniquely known to acquire the color of plumage from the diet that it consumes, and zoos usually add the artificial versions of this pigment to prevent these organisms from turning white? Now these kind of unique characteristic based questions UPSC is asking these days. So here your answer will be flamingos. It is the flamingos which are actually the birds, migratory birds, which visit the wetlands of India both on the eastern coast and the western coast every year. Okay? So India is a breeding ground for these migratory species, and this particular species is also a filter feeder. It is also a filter feeder. So this pigment they are obtaining from the diet which they are consuming. And what is their diet? It is mainly the algae and the shrimp based. Algae or the shrimp from the marshlands, from the wetlands, it's feeding on this. And in its diet, there is this component xanthocyanthine. So by the virtue of this compound, they are able to have their plumage turning into pink or reddish. The next one, question number 45. Again from the pollution, we have fly ash. So let's see. Statement 1 says that a byproduct of the coal-based thermal power plants is considered effective in the treatment of contaminated water. This is actually correct statement. Okay? This is correct. Statement 2, fly ash is composed of the oxides of calcium, magnesium and iron. You might be knowing the composition also. This is also correct. Now we have to examine whether statement 2 is rightly explaining the statement 1 or not. Actually here statement 2 is rightly the explanation for statement 1. So how? Remember that the compounds, these oxides of calcium and magnesium, they are responsible for the alkaline nature of the fly ash. By that virtue, it becomes suitable to be used in neutralizing the acidity from the wastewater. Okay? So it can also be used in making the zeolites, and these zeolites are very effective in the water purification. Apart from that, if you see iron, which is again a component of the fly ash, it is also a catalyst in the Fenton reaction. In the Fenton reaction, this iron will act like a catalyst, and by that virtue it will become good in absorbing the heavy metals, the organic as well as the inorganic pollutants from the wastewater. So yes, answer here it will be A. Let's see the next question. From the protected areas, okay, which one of the following tiger reserves is renowned as the jewel of Vidarbha? It means its location is there in the state of Maharashtra. Okay? And this lake within the tiger reserve sustains the population of Indian marsh crocodile. So which is this crocodile? This is your magar. The magar crocodile is having its habitat within the lake here, as well as the monitor lizards can be found. So what is the most probable answer here? What is the answer? It will be, your answer is B, the Tadoba Andheri Tiger Reserve. It is the Tadoba which is the name of the lake here, and Andheri is basically the river that is originating from this tiger reserve. And interesting part is that so far we do not know what is the exact source of this river from this tiger reserve. Okay? And this is important in the backdrop of the government of Telangana deciding to declare the conservation reserve between the Tadoba Andheri Tiger Reserve and the Kaval Tiger Reserve. So that strip, the wildlife corridor between these two protected areas, it has been declared as conservation reserve. Hence this question. Next one. The cashew nuts are native to India. This is incorrect. Cashew nuts are not native to India, rather they were introduced back in 16th century. It was the Portuguese who have introduced the cashew nuts as the cash crop in India. Rather it is the native of Brazil. It is the native of Brazil. Okay? And the oil extracted from the cashew nut can be a feedstock for the biodiesel. This is a correct statement. The cashew nut shell liquid. This was also there in the news this year. This was being experimented to be used as alternative fuel in the marine sector, but it has been advised by the IMO not to use this as the biofuel as of now, because it is having high acidic components within it, and that is why it is also corrosive in nature. Okay? So remember, 2 is also incorrect here. The alcoholic beverages can be produced by using the cashew. This is a correct statement. In the state of Goa, you have this alcoholic beverage called the feni, which is made from the cashew itself. Okay? Question in this question, statement 4, the gum sourced from its bark can be used in the food industry. Now this is a correct statement. Why it's used in the food industry? It is effective emulsifier. It is a good thickening agent also. It is a good thickening agent. So it's very effective as the stabilizer. So it can be used in the food industry. So these here we see 1 and 2 incorrect, 2 and 3 correct. Answer will be B. Only 2 statements are correct here. The next question. International Energy Efficiency Hub. Statement 1. it is an outcome of the climate summit held in Dubai in 2023. This is incorrect. Rather, it was the G20 summit which was held in Germany in Berlin in the year 2017. As outcome of this conference, it was decided to establish a global level forum for enhancing the cooperation in the field of energy efficiency. Okay, so it is incorrect, statement 1. Statement 2, it is an initiative of the International Renewable Energy Agency. This is incorrect since it is initiative of the G20, but it was decided that secretariat will be hosted by the IEA, International Energy Agency. So here your answer, again second statement, is also incorrect. India is a founding member of this hub. It's not a founding member, rather it has become a member of this hub in October 2024. Okay. So remember this, all the three statements, if we see, they were incorrect here. Answer will be none, D. D is the answer here. Next one. Regarding the biodiversity of India, rhinoceros are not found naturally in the southern states of India. So if you know the habitat of rhinos in India, the one-horned rhino, where is it found? It's primarily there in the Tarai belt, the grasslands extending from, you can find from the Dudhwa National Park, and in the state of Assam also. There you will find the one-horned rhino in India, not in the southern states. So statement 1 is actually correct here. The civets live only in the dense forests of northeast India. Is it correct? While we know that in the northeast India, there is this civet Binturong, the largest civet of India. IUCN status is vulnerable. Now that is there, it can be found in the forests of the northeast India. Apart from that, there are also some other civet species. But it's not exclusively living only there. We can also find these civets. There are some of these which are endemic to the Western Ghat region. For example, the Malabar civet. This is endemic to Western Ghats. So even if you knew about this one species, and you know that these are not just confined to the northeastern India, so you will be able to easily derive this. So here statement 2 is incorrect. If we see, answer will be only one, that is A. In total there are 8 civet species in India. Okay. Next, the assertion reason. The ecological productivity of the oceans is generally lower than that of the terrestrial ecosystems. Now from the very basics we all know this. This is actually a correct statement. If we leave the deserts, deserts are actually the most ecologically least productive. Okay? After that, if we see, it is the oceans that are the least productive. The forests, the wetlands, the mangroves, they will be the highest productive ecosystems. Okay? So statement 1 is correct here. See the statement 2. Oceanic waters are generally poor in the nutrients. This is also correct because of the stratification and the lack of upwelling in the deep ocean. The vertical mixing is not happening between the different layers. Okay, so that is why generally those nutrients within the open ocean will be there largely in the lower layers. Okay? So in the upper layers, in the surface water, if you see in the open ocean, there will be less of the nutrients available for the photosynthesis. Hence, if you compare this, the net primary productivity, if you compare with the terrestrial ecosystems, it will be relatively poor here. So statement 2 is also correct, and it's also explaining the statement 1. Let's see statement 3. There is efficient recycling of the nutrients in the terrestrial ecosystems. This is also correct statement. If we see in the case of terrestrial ecosystems, the process for the mineralization, for the nutrient recycling, it is much more faster if you compare it with the deeper parts of the oceans. Okay? So here it is because of the presence of soil. Soil, you can see both producers and decomposers, they will be living in close association here in the soil, and the microbes will be readily acting upon the dead organic matter and further breaking it down through various processes, and through decomposition it's going to release the nutrients which will be readily absorbed by the plants. Okay? So as such, the terrestrial ecosystems, their productivity is going to be higher as compared to the oceans. Okay? The open oceans. So both of these statements are actually explaining the statement 1. So what will be the answer here? Answer is A. Okay, the next question. What is the description of the term synecology? Synecology. Let's see the statements. Statement A says, the study of the community of the living organisms and their environment as an integrated unit of nature. B, the study of individuals of given species. The study of different types of habitats such as terrestrial, freshwater, marine and estuarine. And D, the study of individual species or individuals in relation to their environment. So if you see here, synecology, it's actually describing A. A is the right answer here. Basically, whenever we study the different species, note that these species should be different. There are different communities which are living together. Now, when these communities of different species are thriving together in an ecosystem, not only they are interacting with one another, they are also having this give and take relationship with the environment also where they are living. Now, how they are affecting the environment, how environment is affecting them, and how they are mutually having this association among themselves, means the competition, the commensalism, amensalism, the various kinds of this symbiotic behavior that you see among the species. All these kinds of interactions which you will see between the species as well as their behavior with the environment, their interaction with the environment. This branch of study in ecology, that is basically termed as synecology. Okay? So answer will be A. So B is basically describing the ort ecology. B is the description for ort ecology, and C is the description of the habitat ecology, in which different habitats are studied. And D again, that's again definition of ort ecology only. Next one, green ammonia. We have to see which one of the statement is incorrect in this regard. Statement A says the production and use of green ammonia is part of the national green hydrogen mission. So we all know this is a correct statement. Green ammonia is produced from the electrolysis of water powered by the renewable energy sources. This also I am expecting you all know. Okay? C, green ammonia can be used in the generation of green steel. Let's see statement 4. Green ammonia is more suitable as alternative fuel in the small vehicles as compared to the heavy duty vehicles. So if we see, we have to pay attention to C and D here. So what is the answer here? Answer will be D. D is actually the incorrect statement. Green ammonia, it's more suitable to be used as alternative fuel in the heavy duty vehicles, because for its storage after pressurization, it needs larger space for the storage, and that can be accommodated only in the case of the heavy duty vehicles. So remember this. Okay, and C also, this is correct statement, in the generation of green steel, so that the carbon footprint of the steel production, that is lower. So if we substitute the coal instead, we substitute coal with the green ammonia here. In fact, the green hydrogen which will be sourced from the green ammonia, that will be substituted in the production of green steel, and hence will be able to bring down the footprint of green steel also, the steel industry also here. Next one, among the following animals, which one is not an antelope? Not. So remember this word. If we see the options here, answer will be D. Chausinga, Nilgai, Blackbuck, these are all antelopes. Rather muntjac, which is also known as the barking deer, this is not an antelope. Now there are some differences between what is antelope and what is a deer. These are both different. Please study the differences. The primary difference is in terms of the horns or the antlers which they have. So please revise a bit about this. We have covered thoroughly about all of such kind of the species, their behavior, differences in our PGP classes. You can also refer to that. Okay. So here your answer will be D. Antlers will be there in case of the deer and horns are there in case of the antelopes. Okay. Next, question number 99. Identification of the species, one of the themes which UPSC picks every year now. Sea fans and sea pens that are sometimes mentioned in the news belong to which one of the following groups? So if you know, these are basically the soft corals. These are the soft corals, and corals belong to the group cnidarians. So answer will be C here. Answer will be C. The last question from the environment, also one of the significant contributors in the climate change. It's the nitrous oxide emissions. Let's see statement 1. Burning of the biomass is significant source of the nitrous oxide emissions. This is a correct statement. Nitrous oxide stays in the atmosphere for about a decade. Is it so? What is the lifetime, atmospheric lifetime of the N2O? That is actually close to 117 to 120 years. It means once emitted, it's going to stay in the air, in the atmosphere for more than 100 years. Okay? So here answer will be statement 2 is also incorrect. It's incorrect. Let's see statement 3. Nitrous oxide is currently the most significant ozone layer depleting substance. Is it correct? This is also correct. There is this ongoing awareness which UNEP is focusing upon, that we need to also take into account to bring down the emissions of N2O, because that is not only greenhouse gas, it's also affecting the stratospheric ozone health. So there is this outcry from the environmentalists that this N2O should also be included in the Montreal Protocol, and it should be focused that we have healthier alternatives to N2O. Okay? So remember, statement 3 is also correct. India is the largest emitter of N2O in the world. India is not the largest, rather it is the second largest. Largest is China. Okay? So India is the second largest emitter of the N2O in the world. Now that is because India is primarily agrarian based country, and from the agriculture we know that it's actually the dominant source of the nitrous oxide emissions. The agriculture and the livestock sector together, they make up the most dominant source of the N2O emissions. So if we see here, first, third and fourth are correct only, 3 are correct here. Answer will be C. So this was all from the environment section. Thank you so much.
So welcome to the discussion of Panchsutra 1 economy section. So we will see some of those questions which were asked. So the first question which appeared from the economy section was question number 31. So 31st question says, consider the following statements. Tax base is the total number of people who pay tax in the economy. So in informal sense, whenever we say tax base, it means that. But formally, tax base is all about amount over which tax can be assessed. So in case of income tax, it could be the total taxable income, or in case of capital gain tax, it could be the total value of the property. So that is why this statement is incorrect. Tax elasticity measures the responsiveness of tax revenue to change in tax rate. This is correct. Whenever we talk about elasticity, elasticity is all about change in dependent variable upon change in independent variable. So here the dependent variable is tax revenue. So tax elasticity talks about what is the change in tax revenue if the tax rates are changed. These are used whenever we talk about that. We need to know the revenue neutral rate while fixing the GST rates, the GST slabs. So tax elasticity comes into picture. So this is correct. Tax buoyancy is an indicator to measure efficiency and responsiveness of revenue mobilization in response to growth in GDP. This is also correct. Basically, it is percentage change in tax collection upon percentage change in GDP. Here we take as nominal values. So this is what has been explained in the statement. So 2 and 3 statement is correct. So the answer would be B, 2 and 3 only. Question number 32, it says, consider the following statements. The marginal standing facility or MSF rate is usually greater than the repo rate. This is correct. Actually, technically it is 25 basis point more than the repo rate. Repo rate is the rate at which the central bank, in this case the RBI, gives secured assets in return of securities to the banks. And this is an over and above facility. Suppose the values, if there is higher demand of credit in the economy and the banking system needs more credit, then they can use their SLR securities. SLR security means statutory liquid ratio. There are ratios that are defined. These are reserve requirements. Currently, suppose the SLR rates are 18%. It means out of all the net demand and time liabilities, whatsoever is the total deposit base, 18% has to be locked in government approved securities. And if there is higher demand of credit and they do not have more government securities, then the banks can dive into using SLR securities up to 2%. So they can reduce their holding under SLR of those government securities up to 2% and use those things as a pledge to get money from RBI so that they can extend it into the economy for credit. Since they are using it as they are actually violating some of the norms, it is considered to be a penal rate, and that is why it has to be higher than the repo rate. So MSF is a penal rate which allows banks to dip into their statutory liquid ratio securities. This is correct, and the statement 2 is actually explaining as to why it is more than the repo rate. This is A as the correct answer. The 33rd question was, so this is a new pattern that has been introduced. It has 3 statements and we need to know about whether the statement 2 or statement 3, whether they are actually explaining it or either of the statements or whether they are correct or not. Here we take the assumption that the statement 1 is correct. So de-dollarization can lead to a spike in global interest rate. The interest rates in the world, in many other economies, that may increase. And the statement 2 says, countries may shift dependence from US dollars. Obviously, we are talking about de-dollarization, that is a step away from using US dollars towards other currency or creating regional blocks to another dominant currency like the Chinese yuan. Obviously, if there is a gap which is created, a dominant currency with whose the economy is quite dominant. Here we are talking about Chinese currency because China is a dominant force that is actually coming up in a multipolar currency system. This statement is correct. But is it explaining statement 1? Statement 1 says that you can say de-dollarization can lead to global interest rate hikes. But this statement is saying that this could be one of the ramification of de-dollarization. It is not explaining. It is one of the ramifications, or it could be one of the consequences, but not explaining as to why it would lead to higher interest rate. It is statement 3 which is saying that there will be a sudden decline in demand of US treasury bonds. Suppose there is de-dollarization. People are not using US dollars. So the foreign exchange reserves of the respective country which are in dollar denominated bonds would go down. So the demand of US treasury bonds would go down, and if the demand of US treasury bonds go down, the US yield rates would increase, and if US yield rates increase, technically there could be global interest rate regime wherein there would be sustained period of high yields in the interest scenario. So that is why that statement, the statement 3 is explaining statement 1 as to why there could be spike in global interest rates, because most of these countries are holding US denominated bonds, and if suddenly there is lower demand of US denominated bond, the rates would increase and that would lead to spike in global interest rates. So that is why statement 3 is explaining. So in this context, both the statement 2 and statement 3 are correct, but only one of them explains statement 1, that is statement 3. So B would be the correct answer for question number 33. Thirty-fourth says, consider the following statements. Statement 1 says an unusually lower than expected inflation. If the inflation goes down in the economy, is likely to increase the fiscal deficit equation for the union government. This is actually correct. What happens? All the projections about fiscal deficit is dependent upon the nominal GDP. It is all about the deficit to GDP ratio. They project that they'll be reducing the you can say deficits to GDP ratio by up to 4.5 or 4.8, whatsoever is their projections. It is all dependent on nominal GDP. If the nominal GDP does not increase at the expectation that they wanted, so what would happen? If this is fiscal deficit, this is dependent on GDP nominal, and if this does not increase too much, then the absolute borrowings that would remain same. The absolute borrowing is the money that they have pledged, that said that they will be going into borrowing for this much amount. But if this thing goes down, denominator goes down, the overall this value as a percentage would increase, because if denominator goes down, the overall value increases, and that means that the fiscal mathematics would get shifted towards higher borrowing rate in terms of percentage. So this says that fiscal deficit calculations are projected on nominal GDP growth rate assumptions. This is correct. So that is why the government wants to have moderately high inflation that suits them in terms of fiscal mathematics. That may not be good from the monetary policy perspective, but for fiscal mathematics it suits them. So both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is explaining the cause of statement 1. 35th question. So which of the following instruments, it's a factual question, are covered under the Payments and Settlement Systems Act? It is credit card, debit card, UPI. This bank guarantee is not covered under this particular act. Apart from that, the NEFT transactions, the RTGS transactions, all are covered under this Payments and Settlement Systems Act 2007, not bank guarantee. So out of 4, 1, 2 and 4 are covered, so C would be the correct answer. 36th question says, which one of the following best describes the essence of the term job polarization? So this was in news because of increasing rate of technological unemployment, wherein AI is actually replacing and killing many jobs. So job polarization says that use of artificial intelligence may lead to eating away of mid-level jobs. Technically, jobs would remain. Number of highly skilled, if we create a tier, high skilled, mid skilled, and these are low skilled. So job polarization says that in the high and low levels, AI would not have effects in terms of replacing the jobs. It's all about killing those mid-level, mid-skilled jobs that would be more exacerbated by use of artificial intelligence. So this is what is being explained in the statement 1. A trend where the number of skilled and unskilled job increases, obviously that would increase because the demand of AI needs demand of AI engineers and coders. Demand of lower jobs because you cannot replace, robots can replace lower end jobs, not AI, it's a software, it's not a hardware, a kind of system. While the number of mid-skilled jobs are generally clerical jobs. And AI would try to replace this job. So this was talked about, this is in news. So this is an economic concept, technically job polarization. Although India has not experienced this job polarization, but the developed worlds are experiencing this kind of phenomena in their job market. Question number 37. Consider the following statements. India has the largest startup ecosystem in the world. So this should be, this is statement 1, this is statement 2, and this is statement 3. So India has the largest startup ecosystem in the world. This is incorrect. It is the third largest startup ecosystem. The first is US. There is research and development expenditure, R&D expenditure in India amounts to roughly 2.5% of GDP. This is also incorrect. It is hardly 0.65% of GDP. So not even 1%. So that is why to create a knowledge economy, we need to increase the R&D expenditure as a proportion of GDP. This is also incorrect. Second, the third is the private sector expenditure in R&D is more than that of public sector in India. This is also incorrect. Third statement is also incorrect. If we talk about the expenditure, if 100 is the total expenditure, 65 is coming from public sector and 35 is roughly coming from private sector. So that is why it is more skewed. 2/3 of R&D expenditure is coming from public sector, and that is why efficiency is lagging in terms of knowledge economy in India. So all the three statements are incorrect. How many of them are correct? None. 38th question says, with reference to rail transport in India, consider the following statements. India's rail network is the 4th largest in the world. This is correct. US, China, Russia, and India. These are the top 4 countries. Rail transport accounts for more than 70% of freight movement in India. This is incorrect. It is road transport that account for it. Rail transport hardly 25 to 30%. That is why in the National Rail Plan 2030, they had this vision that they need to increase the freight movements through rail. So this is incorrect. Only the first statement is correct. A would be the correct answer. 39th question. Consider the following statements. Statement 1 says, RBI has increased the risk weight in unsecured category asset portfolio as a policy measure. This is incorrect because recently the risk weight in rupees sub 50,000 or below 50,000 credit, it has been increased from 100 to I guess 125%, and also in credit card on all these credit which has been given in the retail lending, it has also seen a jump. This is a kind of policy measures because they feel that the RBI feels that there is a systemic risk of default which is building in the economy, in the market. So why it has happened? In the post-pandemic world, there has been a surge in the retail and consumer credit category of lending. These are basically this has happened all because of 2 reasons. First, the jobs have not increased and people are forced to even take loans just to run their household. And second, since the unsecured lending, the margins for the banks are higher. They can charge higher interest rate in unsecured and credit lending, all these things. So that is why it has become an incentive for bank to not go for secured lending like home loans, rather go venture into these buy now pay later credit cards and all these things. You must have seen that many of them are actually actively promoting, and also the growth of digital lending app. So both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is explaining as to why there is a system risk weight which has been increased by the RBI in the unsecured category of lending. 40th question. Which of the following statement is correct with regards to the Atal Pension Yojana? It is a contributory pension scheme by the government of India. This is correct because the government of India also contributes, as well as the private people, those who are the subscribers, are required to contribute. All citizens between the age group of 18 to 40 years. So this is incorrect. They are eligible to join the scheme. There is a guaranteed minimum pension based on the amount of pension chosen under the scheme. So there is a guaranteed minimum pension of rupees 1000 till rupees 5000 depending upon the subscription value, or the value that the subscriber choose, or he or she is actually mandated to put in under the scheme monthly. Fourth, after the subscriber's death, the spouse will receive the same pension amount until their death. This is also correct. So out of 4 statements, 3 statements are correct. So C would be the correct answer, only 3. 76th question says, the Economic Survey 24-25 recently, I can say, released, advocates the promotion of India's Mittelstand. So which of the following sectors had been referred to this India's Mittelstand? It is MSMEs. Basically this is a German word. So the MSME sector, the SME sector in Germany had led to the economic growth phase. So that is why the Economic Survey propounds that the same should be emulated in India also. So that is all referring to the MSME sector. 77th question, with reference to the angel tax in India, consider the following statements. Angel tax is considered as an income tax. This is correct. It is a direct tax which is taxed on, you can say, income from other sources. It's a kind of a tax which is, you can say, imposed on income from other sources. It's a kind of direct tax. So basically what happens when the fair market value and the value, the invested value, if the invested value of per share is more than the fair market value of the share in an private equity or unlisted shares, it is considered to be a gain, or gain as a business income from other sources, and that is taxed as per the Income Tax Act 1961. The government of India has abolished an angel tax for all categories of investors. So this was done in budget 24-25. So both the statements are correct. C would be the correct answer for question number 77. 78th question says, with reference to the calculation of taxation by income tax department, obviously since there is an overhauling of the income tax legislation, so that is why this question was asked from that context. The financial year is the period during which the income is earned. This is correct. For example, you will see AI 25-26, but the FY would be 24-25. So we are talking about financial year 24-25. It means that all those income earned between 2021st of April 2024 till 31st of March 2025, that is considered to be the financial year. So this is correct. The assessment year is the year in which the income is evaluated and taxed. This is correct. So assessment year in this case would be the generally 1 year after the financial year, and the technical dates are till 31st of July it is allowed. You are required to file your income tax return. Both the statements are correct. C would be the correct answer. 79th question says that unified lending interface. So this was in news because this was launched by the Reserve Bank of India. So it is a platform which has been launched by the National Payments Corporation of India. This is incorrect. NPCI has launched UPI. ULI has been launched by RBIH, Reserve Bank Innovation Hub, which is works under RBI. So it facilitates the seamless flow of customers' digitized financial and non-financial data from multiple data service providers. Obviously this is correct. It tries to collaborate all those financial data as well as non-financial data like land records, whatsoever assets that a person owns, what is the sale value, all these things are calculated to create the credit worthiness, whether the person can get loan or not, so as to have seamless flow of credit in those economy, because there is a credit gap in India from formal sources. It is likely to cut down the paperwork and reduce the turnaround time for loan approvals and disbursement. This is the basic philosophy behind this. So second and third statements are only correct. Out of 3, 2 statements are correct. B would be the correct answer. And the last question which was asked in the economy section was related to a term and its meaning, pair based. Undernourishment is insufficient calorie intake, not protein intake. So this is incorrect. Malnutrition can be considered as insufficient protein intake. Stunting, low height for age, this is correct. Wasting, low weight for height, this is correct. Underweight, low weight for age, this is correct. So out of 4 pairs, 3 pairs are correct. C would be the correct answer. So this was all about the economy section in Panchsutra 1. Thank you. Welcome to the discussion of Panchsutra 1 current affairs section. So we'll see the questions which were asked in this particular test. So the first question appeared was question number 61, that is with reference to the Pragati platform. Obviously consider the following statements. So this question was all asked because you can say Oxford has actually praised this Pragati platform as a model for cooperative federalism. So it is a multi-purpose, multimodal platform aimed at addressing common man's grievances and monitoring important government projects. This is correct. It utilizes artificial intelligence and geospatial technology to provide real-time updates on the progress. Basically, it tries to reduce the delays and cost overrun in infrastructural projects which are approved by the government or which are being funded by the government. It has a 2-tier structure. No, it has a 3-tier structure. And those are, at the top level it is PMO, the Prime Minister's office. Second is the Union Government Secretaries of the respective ministries and the State Chief Secretaries of the respective states. So that is how they coordinate and they review the progress. Basically the idea is to reduce the cost overruns. So first and second statement is only correct. A would be the correct answer for question number 61st. Question number 62nd says that the term geoglyphs or geoglyphs often heard in the news corresponds to which of the following? So it is a type of land art or rock art created on the ground using stone, gravels or earth. Basically what happened that particular in Peru, it has been found that geoglyphs have been found. Even in Ratnagiri districts, these have been found of different art forms on land. So that is why this question was asked from that perspective. So the question number 63 says, consider the following statements about the Asia-Oceania Meteorological Satellite Users Conference. So it is hosted annually in various locations across Asia and Oceania. This is correct. Basically, most of those regions in Pacific Ocean. The 14th Asia-Oceania Meteorological Satellite Users Conference was hosted in India, in New Delhi. This was correct. In India it was hosted, that is why it was asked. But it was hosted by the Indian Meteorological Department under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, not the Department of Space. So that is why this is incorrect. First statement is only correct. A would be the correct answer. 64th question is all about the military exercises, participants and the type of exercise. So Kazan, obviously India and Kazakhstan, it's a joint military exercise. This is correct. Malabar, it's not just India and United States, it's also Australia and Japan. So it is a multilateral, not a bilateral. So that is why multilateral naval, the second information is correct. In the second row information is Nasim Al Bahar is between India and Oman, and this is bilateral naval exercise. This is correct. So first and third information, the rows of information are correct. So only 2 would be the correct answer. B as the correct answer for question number 64. Question 65. Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. It was established under the Income Tax Act of 1961. This is correct. The decisions of ITAT are final and no further appeal can be done before any court. This is incorrect. If a particular appeal talks about explaining a law substantially, then the appeal can be filed before the High Court. This is incorrect. The ITAT functions under the Ministry of Law and Justice. Obviously, this is correct. So first and third are correct only. So C would be the correct answer, not Ministry of Finance. It is basically Income Tax Appellate. It's a tribunal, so it functions under the Ministry of Law and Justice. Consider the following statements about the Eco-Mark scheme. So Eco-Mark rules have been notified under the Mission Life. Mission Life. So that is why this question was put in. Lifestyle for environment, which was propounded by the Prime Minister of India. So it is aimed to promote sustainable consumption and eco-friendly production with strict environmental standards. This is correct. Eco-Mark rules have been notified under the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Obviously, the scheme is administered by Bureau of Indian Standards in collaboration with CPCB. This is also correct. All the 3 statements are correct. D would be the correct answer for question number 66. I will take question number 67 about the Omkareshwar floating solar project. So it is located in not Gujarat, it is Madhya Pradesh. It is built on Narmada river. This is correct. It is the largest fully functional floating solar project in India. This is incorrect. Largest currently is Ramagundam by NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation. It's in Telangana. But once it is fully built, this Omkareshwar floating solar project, it would generate 600 megawatt, and that would be the largest floating solar power plant in India. I guess it would be in the world also. So that is why third is incorrect. Only statement 2 is correct. A would be the correct answer for question number 67. Question 68. Consider the following statements about National Anubhav Awards scheme. So Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions is the nodal ministry for the scheme. This is correct. The scheme aims to enable eligible retiring or retired employee from both government and private. So this is not allowed as per the I can say policy documents of the scheme. Private sector retiring or retired employees are not considered under this particular scheme. It is government or those retirees from public sector enterprise. It could be PSUs or public sector banks. So that is why this statement is incorrect. A would be the correct answer for question number 68. So it talks about Rumi-1. So Rumi-1 is India's first reusable hybrid rocket. So reusable hybrid rocket aims to lower the cost of satellite launching. Basically the same rocket is used at least 2 or 3 times so that the cost of launching goes down. So this is answer would be C. So pair based question. So Barda Wildlife Sanctuary, Gujarat and Bileshwari River, this is correct. Bitarkanika Wildlife Sanctuary is in Odisha. Brahmani River, this is correct, but the information in the row is incorrect. Koyna Wildlife Sanctuary is in Maharashtra, but the river is Koyna, which is a tributary of Krishna, but still this wildlife sanctuary has Koyna river passing through it. So that is why this is also incorrect. So out of the 3 given, only 1 is correctly, in the information of the first row is correct, only A would be the correct answer for question number 70. Consider the following statements about Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, basically ensuring promotion of generic medicine through Jan Aushadhi Kendra. So it aims to provide quality medicine at affordable prices to the masses, obviously promotion of generics. Indian Council of Medical Research is the implementing agency? No, it is Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Bureau of India, not ICMR, which is the implementing agency. So that is why second statement is incorrect. A would be the correct answer for question number 91. So obviously there is a trend which have been seen from the past year that UPSC has been asking some of those factual questions, basically some of those trivial and knowledge based question, GK based questions. So based on that it was asked. So it's international organizations and their specific headquarters. So ASEAN has a headquarter in Jakarta, Indonesia, not Manila, Philippines. So that is why first is incorrect. SARC in Kathmandu, not in Dhaka. So that is why second is also incorrect. BIMSTEC, it is in Dhaka, not Kathmandu. Third is also incorrectly matched. So all the pairs are incorrect. D would be the correct answer for question number 92. 93rd question says about nature restoration law. So this was recently passed by the European Union. So it has become the first law, world's first law for a particular continent, and that could be a model for India to also emulate. So it mandates that at least 20% of EU's land and sea areas must be restored by 2030. This is correct. The NRL is a part of EU's European Green Deal and aims to restore all ecosystem by 2050. So there are particular cutoff dates also. So that is why both the statements are correct and C would be the correct answer. So this came into force recently, that is why this question was put up. So the Union government has recently announced introducing the Jan Vishwas bill in financial year 26. Which of the following is the bill related to? It is all about decriminalization of outdated legal provisions. So they want to change the legality of this from criminal offense towards civil offense, which would attract penalties rather than any imprisonment. And the last question which was asked from the current affairs section was, how many of the above are core objectives of the recently announced National Manufacturing Mission in the Union budget? So future ready workforce for in-demand jobs, this is correct. Vibrant and dynamic MSME sector, this is correct. Quality product, this is also correct. Use, apart from that, there are other two more focal points. This is ease and cost of doing business, and also promotion and use of technology. Basically promoting clean manufacturing. So all the three are objectives. So C would be the correct answer for question number 95. So this was all about the questions which were asked in the current affair section of the Panchsutra 1. Thank you.
Hello, hi everyone. So how was the test? Panchsutra test 1. I believe most of you found the questions pretty doable and you are well prepared for the upcoming prelims, right? So before we move further, let us discuss the polity section questions in today's paper, Panchsutra test 1, conducted on 22nd Feb 2025, right? Let us begin. Question first. In your question paper, it must be question number 21, right? Consider the following statements regarding fundamental rights of freedom of speech and expression in India, right? First statement. Constitution of India represents people's dignity and independence, recognizing them as equal and capable of thinking for themselves. So this is correct. In India, any limitations on freedom of speech must strictly adhere to the specific grounds listed in Article 19, Clause 2. The restriction on the grounds of decency and morality is primarily based on striking a balance between individuals' rights and state's duty to protect the morals. Morals, constitutional morals. Right, so first and third statements are correct. The right answer is option C. Next. Next, in which one of the following situations would a writ of habeas corpus not be applicable? First one, detention without legal authority. Yes, it is applicable. Lawful imprisonment after conviction by a competent court, not producing the accused before a magistrate within 24 hours of arrest, detention beyond the period of sentence. The right answer is option B, lawful imprisonment after conviction by a contempt court. In this case, the writ of habeas corpus cannot be issued by any of the competent courts. Detention beyond the period of sentence, the judiciary can ask the state machineries, law enforcement officials or the prison officials to produce the convicted person who has already completed his sentence in front of the court, right? So, the most correct option is option B. When a person is imprisoned, when the person is put behind the bars for any offense that he has committed, and that offense is proved in the court of law, and he has been sentenced to serve a term in the prison. In that case, the writ of habeas corpus cannot be issued by the courts, right? The answer is option B. Next, digital arrest. We have seen this term in news lately, and what could be the most appropriate explanation of digital arrest? A government interdiction on the progression and operationalization of artificial intelligence. Digital arrest is not a government interdiction. Matlab that government is not doing those arrests. A fraudulent scheme wherein cyber miscreants fabricate spurious digital warrants. Incorrect. To coerce individuals into remitting pecuniary penalties, matlab paise dete hain, they transact money in terms of the what we say challans or anything, something like that, for transgressions of online regulations. Not necessarily. Fraudsters may ask you certain amount of money to be credited in their accounts for the transgressions of any particular law, not only for online regulations. Third, a cybersecurity protocol involving the transient sequestration. It is not a cybersecurity protocol. A deceptive stratagem, matlab strategy, where fraudsters impersonate law enforcement officers to intimidate victims, compelling them to electronically transfer funds. Most appropriate explanation is statement D of digital arrest, right? Simple. The language seems to be a bit legalistic in nature of all the four statements, but once you comfortably read through these statements without rushing to find the right answer, you will be able to find the correct answer for this particular question. The answer is option D. Next, which of the following is the primary objective of creating co-districts in Assam? Recently in news. Now, let us for a general understanding, we know that districts are the administrative units in India, and there are various functions that the district officials perform. Most appropriate explanation would be the decentralization of governance system, right? Let us see how it shows. To promote economic growth by enhancing industrial development, to decentralize governance and make administrative services more accessible, to improve fiscal management by increasing tax collection, to foster cultural heritage and promote tourism in adjoining regions. The right answer is option B, decentralization of governance. So core districts, it's basically where the few districts are very large in nature and people need to commute to greater distances to reach the district headquarters. To ease the service delivery, to ease the working of those services provided by the district officials, is being now decentralized by creating core districts. The headquarters are bifurcated and various officials will be able to manage the government functions more effectively. People will be able to approach those officials and offices in particular with more ease, right? So the right answer is option B, decentralized governance. Consider the following constitutional amendment acts. How many of the above given constitution amendment acts required the ratification by the state legislatures as per Article 368 of the Constitution of India? The Constitution 61st Amendment Act, age of voting. The Constitution 73rd Amendment Act, the Constitution 101st Amendment Act, GST. All three of them required ratification by the states. Now, it is your job to understand and revise that what all provisions in the Constitution, what all amendments, kind of amendments will require a ratification by the states. In general, just understand that any amendment which is going to affect the federal nature of the country, of the Union of India, will be required to be ratified by these states, right? Right answer would be option C, all three. The just soli principle in Indian polity is associated with the just soli, sons of soil. Right? Or what else can we say about just soli? There is one more term, just sanguine, that is right of blood. In most of the cases, we used to follow the principle of just soli when we were granting the citizenships. Now, later, when there were various amendments to the Citizenship Act, so far we have made 5 amendments, right? Yes, we have made 5 amendments to our, Citizenship Act, right? And at present, we follow a approach where we use both kind of principles, both just soli and just sanguine, and it is more accurately related to the citizenship, granting citizenship, right? The right answer is option C. Which one of the following correctly describes the legal status of parole and furlough? Both parole and furlough are legal rights of the prisoners. Parole is a legal right, whereas furlough is a privilege. Furlough is a legal right, whereas parole is a privilege. Neither parole or furlough can be considered as legal rights. So the most appropriate answer is furlough is a legal right, whereas parole is a privilege. Option C. Now, how can we say that? Please understand that furlough is a legal right because once you undergo a sentence and once you, both of them are temporary releases from the prison, and once when we talk about the furlough is that once you are serving your sentence and there is a clean record and you have fulfilled certain criterias to be granted furlough, then you can apply for the furlough, right? This is basically where the judiciary is, where the whole jurisprudence ecosystem is of the idea that it should be not vindictive in nature, or it should not be unjust in nature, rather it should be reformative in nature. This also provides the prisoners with the opportunity to get more comfortable with the society and gel in with the society, perform their family obligations, etc. and etc. Right? So that is furlough. Once you satisfy the certain foundational criteria for those things, then you can seek a furlough from either the prison officials or the courts or the state machineries. Parole, in the other sense, is something different. Parole is not a right, it is granted based on the prerogative of the officials. Now, there can be different reasons for granting a parole. Untimely death of a family member, or health issues related to the prisoner or the inmate, etc. Then you can be granted parole for a very short duration, right? And parole is not a legal right. Parole, even if you apply for it, can be denied by the officials. So most appropriate explanation for this question is furlough is a legal right and parole is a privilege, right? Next. Consider the following: guaranteeing equal opportunities for every citizen, securing the welfare of the populace, equal opportunities, welfare, protecting individual rights and liberties, prioritizing government-driven economic development over private business. Government-driven economic development. Which of the above given correctly encapsulates the idea of socialism in Indian context? In Indian context, socialism talks about mixed economy approach. Right. So, government-driven economic development is incorrect. The right answer would be 1, 2, and 3. Option B is the right answer. Correct? Simple question. Next. State government appoints Nyayadhikari for each Gram Nyayalaya in consultation with the High Court. Only the civil suits which are specific in the schedule to the Gram Nyayalayas Act 2008 are tried by the Gram Nyayalaya. They are not bound by the provisions of Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam but by the principles of natural justice. Statement 2 is incorrect. They can try the civil suits as well as criminal cases, both. Second, while they try the criminal cases, they are bound to follow procedural corrective assessment kind of things. The technicalities of getting their hands on the proofs or somebody might also be there to give what we say, give their own idea in criminal cases, right? So yes, they can try the civil suits, they can try the criminal cases also, and they can also come up with certain kind of other family disputes, right? So this is incorrect that they try only the civil suits. Other two statements are correct, right? So the right answer would be option B, only two. People's Plan campaign. Recently in news, right? Simple question. You all must have attempted it correctly. It aims at strengthening the grassroots democracy and promoting inclusive development in Grameen Bharat. Inclusive development, grassroots democracy. How? Is because it empowers rural citizens to take active role in shaping the future of their villages by participating in the planning process for the local development. That is the whole idea. This question can be, there can be various People's Plan campaign, there can be various ideas associated with it. But please understand that People's Plan, when it comes to rural areas of our country, it is basically a campaign by the central government wherein they are going to proactively include, they are going to convince people to get involved in the planning process for their own local areas, right? So that is People's Plan campaign. Both the statements are correct. Answer is option C. Consider the following: legal advice, representation in court proceedings, mediation and negotiation, alternative dispute resolution. How many of the above are part of the free legal services provided to individuals by National Legal Services Authority? Simple question, all of them are provided, but if you are getting confused between these two options, understand that negotiation and mediation are part of the alternative dispute resolution, right? And ADR might include other things also apart from what we say, mediation and negotiation. It might include conciliation and arbitration also, right? So this is a whole encompassing idea, and these two are parts of ADR. What NALSA is providing is legal advice to the what we say alleged people or somebody who is already in the jail. They, even if they are not having the finances to afford a legal advisor, they are there to give in the best advices in those particular cases. Second, they also help people get the representation in the court of law. Mediation and negotiation and ADRs. The whole idea of NALSA is that once you are not able to get your hands on those legal advices, once your finances are not good enough to afford those legal advices, that should not stop you from getting the justice. That is the basic idea, right? In all these cases, everybody is trying to get to resolve the issue, right? And prevent the injustice. Right answer is D, all four. Which of the statements given above is here are correct? ठीक है. Constitution makes it mandatory for preventive detention laws to form advisory boards. Mandatory, qualified to be High Court judges, correct. The advisory boards under the various laws must review detention orders every 3 months to ascertain the sufficient cause of detention. And third, the failure of law and order situation automatically empowers the state to use preventive detention measures. Incorrect. Right. So there has been a recent court judgment by the Supreme Court where they say that state is not at all empowered to enforce the preventive detention measures when there is a case of law and order failure. In that case, there are alternative ways to resolve the situation. There are alternative ways to address the issue. And preventive detention shall not be the priority by the law enforcement agencies. Rather, they should try to bring back the peace through other alternative measures, right? And preventive detention shall be used only in the demanding yet challenging situations. First and second statements are correct, third statement is incorrect. The right answer would be option B, 1 and 2 only. Consider the following: reliability and robustness, safety and security, transparency, fairness and privacy. How many of the above are part of the evaluating trustworthy artificial intelligence ETI framework and guidelines for the armed forces? This was in news, and I believe most of you have either marked option C or D. You must, somebody must be confused between these things, artificial intelligence and transparency, because most of the things are executed at the back end and you are only given the best choices that could be made. The right answer is option D, all 5. Right? Simple. Transparency as in terms of that what all were the inputs given to the artificial intelligence and how efficiently they have processed it to give the most desired output or the solution to any certain data inputs, right? So these are the guidelines for the armed forces, and all 5 of them are part of those ETI framework, right? Last question. Even though there is a distribution of powers between the union and the states as under the federal system in India, the distribution has a strong central bias. Correct statement. Let us see second. Constitution empowers the Rajya Sabha to pass a resolution empowering Parliament to make laws on any matter enumerated in the state list. Correct. During a national emergency, the President can suspend the state assembly and empower the union to legislate on any matter in the state list. Now, these 2 statements, statement 1 and 2, clearly conveys the idea that in India, the federal system is having a strong central bias, because at times of emergency, there can be scenarios at times of national emergency where the union parliament assumes the power to legislate on the subjects enumerated in the state list. Point 1. Point 2. Even if there are subjects enumerated in the state list, still the Rajya Sabha can empower the parliament to make a law which is already in the state list. Now, this is an aspect where we can say that our federal system, which is quasi-federal in nature, is actually biased towards the union, or it has given more powers or tilted towards the central legislature, right? So the right answer would be both statement 2 and 3 are correct, and both of them explain statement 1. Right. Next. So yes, we have discussed all the questions for the polity section, and I believe that most of the questions were doable in nature. Few were conceptual in nature, and few were very from what we can say the contemporary developments, like the core districts wala question was there, and E-type framework when it comes to armed forces, related to armed forces. We have recently seen the changes in the UPSC pattern, where every year they are asking couple of questions related to the armed forces or uniformed jobs, right? Few of the questions were very conceptual in nature, like just solely principle and just sanguine principle, and it was all in all, it was a balanced part of polity section. Few of the contemporary questions and few conceptual static questions, right? And I believe most of you were able to solve those questions, right? So that's all for the polity section from my side. Just in case you get any doubt or you want to discuss about any concept, feel free to approach the front desk, and we'll be all up helping you clear and resolve your doubts. And until we meet next in March, we'll be having a meeting at the time of Panchsutra 2. Please revise well and prepare well for the upcoming prelims examination. Thank you. Good luck.
Yes, this is Panchsutra Test 1 discussion, and we are discussing here the history section. So yes, of course, many students find history a little bit difficult, especially ancient and medieval, and within that also art and culture, many things to remember, mug up. And also we can say in recent trend, UPSC is asking very difficult questions from this part of your syllabus. And that's why the cost benefit ratio is also very important. How many things are to be, how many resources are to be referred, and the weightage that this section carries. So somehow the modern history part, the students are able to attempt it properly in the examination, but ancient and medieval, to some extent they are facing a problem here. So again, my advice to you is that stick to the basic resources, that is your let's say NCRTs, and along with that you can let's say refer to Tamil Nadu let's say state board books also. And for art and culture, one standard resource, 11 standard NCRT, or let's say any standard reference book, and give multiple revisions, because so many facts, so many let's say specific information you have to remember, right? And other important thing that I find useful in history is you should be preparing all things in a chronological order. ठीक है, तो अगर आप टाइमलाइन फॉलो करते हैं हिस्ट्री में, तो चीज़ें आपको याद रखने में आसानी होगी. आपके स्टडी टेबल पे आपने वो टाइमलाइन लिखी हुई चाहिए. All time it should be in front of you, right? And along with that, some important development. So history largely we can deal with, let's say, 3 important aspects. What are these? Events, personalities, and let's say important we can say that the movements. ठीक है, तो ऐसे कुछ चीज़ें यूपीएससी पूछता है. इवेंट्स के बारे में पूछता है, पर्सनालिटी के डिस्क्रिप्शन के बारे में पूछता है, या फिर कोई एक पर्टिकुलर मूवमेंट, स्पेशली मॉडर्न इंडिया में आप देखते हैं कि वो वाली चीज़ ज़रूर पूछता है. सो विदाउट एनी डिले लेट्स स्टार्ट द डिस्कशन. लुक एट दिस क्वेश्चन, फर्स्ट वन. विथ रेफरेंस टू इंडिया, पचेता, कुजंगल एंड सागरगोटे refers to. नाउ आई एम फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र, सो आई नो लेट्स से सागरगोटे क्या होता है. हमने बचपन में एक गेम खेला भी हुआ है. And if you are from Rajasthan, you may have played this Pacheta also. And if you are from, let's say, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, that region, so you may have played this. Basically, these are the ancient games. They are still, played in the rural India. Different parts of the country have different names to these games. And let's say they do not require any kind of, let's say, equipments. Simply they are using that small, let's say, stones. And they are, let's say, having these games, and it was in news. Why? Because that Squid Games web series is there, very famous, and they are using such kind of games. They are also very famous in, let's say, South Korea and those countries also, East Asian countries. Okay? So basically it is ancient games. Now, next question. Yes, look at this question regarding the stone carvings. Idakkal caves. So Idakkal caves, where they are located? They are located in Wayanad district of Kerala, And yes, this is the only known place to have Stone Age carvings in South India. This is correct fact, correct information. Stone Age carving, I told you timeline, you need to remember the chronological aspect. So Stone Age is basically prehistoric times where the history has not been written in the record, right? So that's why we call it as prehistoric, and there we have Stone Age, and Stone Age can be further divided into Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic periods in sequence, right? So Stone Age carvings we can found, and the Stone Age or prehistoric is, let's say, beyond 3000 BCE or before 3000 BCE, we call it as we can say that prehistoric or this particular age, right? Now Idakal caves contain 3 types of rock art. We can call them even petroglyphs, rock arts or rock carvings. इनको क्या बोला जाता है? Petroglyphs. So the art form that date back to the Paleolithic age. Now this particular information is incorrect. That dates back to Mesolithic and Neolithic age, and not the Paleolithic, which is earlier than we can say Mesolithic and Neolithic. So we will say that this is incorrect. First is correct. So one only is the correct answer for this question. So remember the timeline. Accordingly, you can, let's say, remember a few things. Now regarding the parallel governments during QIM. So Quit India movement, 1942. Yes, the several parts of the country were having, or were, let's say, the unique kind of development happened during that movement is the parallel governments. So parallel governments were formed at different places. They started the administration by themselves, administrating those areas, taxation and other aspects. So yes, a famous one is in Prati Sarkar, or it is also called as Patri Sarkar in Maharashtra, Satara region, Satara district at present, Western Maharashtra. Nana Patil, he was the associated leader. So this one is correctly matched. Now in 3 columns, I told you it is easy. Why? Because it is easy to eliminate the things. Even if you know any one of this is incorrect, so you can eliminate this as an incorrect pair. Right. So first is correct, Tamluk Zatiya Sarkar. Yes, so here you should understand the associated leader was not Chittu Pandey, rather here the associated leader was Satish Chandra Samanta. Okay, Satish Chandra Samanta, and few of the other leaders we can say Samanta, and Chittu Pandey was not. Yes, West Bengal is, we can say, that correct part. So or Bengal region, that region at that time. So this is incorrect. Now government in Bar. So government in Bar, it is located in Bihar, and we can say that local people belonging to certain community, we'll call them as let's say the backward communities of Bihar, and not the Lakshman Nayak was associated here. Or you can eliminate from this also Andhra Pradesh. No, it is incorrect. It is Bihar. Okay, so we can say that this is incorrect. Only one or one only is the correct answer here. Right. Now, moving on further, look at this question. Medieval India. So yes, the gold coins or the coins in India. With reference to that, gold Kahavanu is the medieval currency from Sri Lanka depicting the far-reaching conquest of Vijayanagar king. Now, along with timeline or chronology, you should be also looking at all these developments, especially during medieval time period, spatially. That means, what are the simultaneous developments happening in northern India or north of Deccan and south of, we can say, Vindhyas. So that should be, let's say, learn from the spatial manner. Spatial matlab kya hai ki simultaneously us jagah pe kya chal raha hai, yahan par kya chal raha hai. And yes, it is very important because during medieval time period, major developments were happening south of Vindhyas also, several kingdoms, and north of, let's say, like tripartite struggle. And simultaneously, Chola kingdom was there in the south of Vindhyas, or Chola, Pandyas and Cheras in that region. Okay, so here basically it shows not of Vijayanagara, rather the influence of Chola kingdom or Chola kings beyond India. So this is incorrect. Now Dawar Baksh coins, a type of silver rupee coin associated with Mughal dynasty. Now this is correct. Dawar Baksh was basically the Mughal emperor for a brief time period, and he was the brother of, we can say, Shah Jahan, and he killed, basically Shah Jahan killed him and, let's say, took over the power. And Dawar Baksh, in his name itself, these coins were minted. They were silver coins, and at present very few, only 10 coins are, let's say, having At present they are found. Okay, so Dawar Baksh, remember this. So this is correct, 2 only is the correct answer here, B is the correct answer. So be it let's say medieval India or even ancient let's say kingdoms and let's say southern India, whatever the administrative developments were there, what UPSC is asking, it will ask the art and culture, cultural development part or administrative part, what is the administration, the specific names given to, we can say that them. Okay, so these things are happening. All right, so yes, you need to prepare all the administrative developments that are happening, that happened in different kingdoms. Okay, they are asking the administrative developments during the Mughal time period, Sultanate time period, or during Chola kingdom. What are the different names to whatever the land revenue, let's say types, or the organization of different, let's say areas, villages, towns, and all these things. So what are these names? So remember this thing that UPSC is asking. Next question here regarding in which of the following sessions Congress first spelt out the meaning of Swaraj for the masses, as in order to end exploitation of masses, political freedom must include economic freedom of starving million. Okay, so basically this was the outcome of Karachi session in 1931. That took place in 1931. This session was very unique. Why? Because 2 resolutions, one resolution related to fundamental rights and second resolution was related to National Action Plan, and it was economic program, we can say National Economic Program. That's why it is talking about the economic freedom aspect also. ठीक है, तो आप वहाँ से भी लॉजिक लगा सकते हैं, राइट? तो क्वेश्चन कैन बी रिलेटेड टू द आउटकम ऑफ दैट सेशन ऑल्सो, द मेजर सेशंस ऑफ कांग्रेस दैट यू शुड प्रिपेयर देयर आउटकम्स. ठीक है, तो वो एग्जाम में आ सकता है, या फिर क्रोनोलॉजिकल एस्पेक्ट दे कैन आस्क, राइट? सो कराची सेशन यू कैन रिमेंबर, बी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. देन next, about the personality, Lala Lajpat Rai, Lal Bal Pal. Consider the following statements. Influenced by Swami Dayananda Saraswati, he joined Arya Samaj and believed in combining ideals of Hinduism and nationalism. This is correct. So he believed in the philosophy of Dayananda Saraswati, joined the Arya Samaj, and he wanted to blend the philosophy of Hinduism and nationalism. So this one is correct. He founded Paris Indian Society in 1905. Now this is incorrect, right? So Paris Indian Society was formed by Madam Bhikaji Kama, while Lala Lajpat Rai in 1917 formed the Home Rule League movement or Home Rule League of America. Okay, Home Rule League of America. So this is incorrect, we can say that second statement. Now Young India, India's will to freedom are some of his significant literary contribution. Now this is correct. 1 and 3 only, that is C is the correct answer for this question. Next. Okay, the Grand Trunk Road connected Central Asia to Indian subcontinent. Very famous even at present, whatever the major, let's say highway that we have from Delhi to Kolkata, basically it is part of Grand Trunk Road, right? So yes, it connected from Kabul, Lahore, and then Delhi, and then thereafter we can say Varanasi or Kashi at that time. Thereafter it let's say went through the Bihar and then West Bengal up till Kolkata, and then Murshidabad also, and even Dhaka, right? So Ajmer, which is in Rajasthan, it is like offshoot. No, so you can eliminate this. Lahore was there, Peshawar was there, Dhaka was there. So C is the correct answer. You can use the logic also here. Next. Then consider the following statements regarding Indian Newspaper Incitement Offices Act 1908. Okay, Indian Newspapers Act is different than, we can say, that Indian Press Act of 1910. So look at the first provision here. It empowered the local government to demand security at registration from the printer and forfeit if it is. Now printer, forfeit, it's something, it is related to press now. So Indian Press Act of 1910. So somehow it brought back the harmful provisions, the problematic provisions of Vernacular Press Act, earlier one. So you should remember that at that time there was Swadeshi movement going on, and to suppress that, and we can say that further let's say activities of extremists, these steps were taken. So this one is incorrect. Bengali newspapers like Yugantar, Sandhya and Bande Mataram, which were associated with the revolutionary organizations, they were banned under this act. Now that is true. This is correct statement, second one. So that's why answer would be 2 only. Now moving on. Yes. Look at this question. Lord Wellesley made efforts to revive commercial relations with Sindh in 1799. Lord Wellesley is considered as an architect of India's expansion or British India's expansion in India. He was the Governor General at that time. General of India at that time, Lord Wellesley. And yes, that is true. He made efforts to revive commercial relations with Sindh. Why? Because at that time there was, let's say, common belief that the Napoleon or French were conspiring with the Tipu Sultan to invade India. And it was through Sindh region only. So they wanted, French were influencing the Sindh region to, let's say, be on their side, and they wanted to invade from that side. Why? Because whatever the French, Anglo-French wars were there, they were from, we can say that, peninsular India region, because they came from the sea route, of course. So remember this thing. And yes, it is correctly explaining the statement 1, and then we can say that A is the correct answer. Now, moving on. She was the queen of Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah, in whose honor the city of Hyderabad was supposed to be named. Hyder Mahal, Hyderabad. Hyderabad-based playwright Muhammad Ali Beg's famous play Diloka Shahzada revolves around the love story of the Sultan and the Queen. Which of the following personalities is mentioned here? Yes, she was in news, Bhagmati. Okay, she was the queen and let's say married to the Sultan Quli Qutub Shah, and the name Bhagmati, later on she was given the name Hyder Mahal, and that's why the name Hyderabad. Okay? So D is the correct answer. Next one, consider the following statements regarding socio-economic conditions on the eve of British conquest in India. Yes, the status of slaves in India was better than that in Europe. This is correct. Why? Because in India, the slaves had a different kind of treatment than European, let's say, society at that time. And the kind of, let's say, bonded labor at that time in India was a different kind as compared to, we can say that, the European society. Why? Because they were allowed, like for example, those who are born out of, let's say, those slaves, they were given the citizenship and all these things. So we can say that their condition and status was better in India. Items such as gold, musk, iron, coffee were exported from India. Now this is incorrect, right? Rather, these items were imported. The exports from India were largely from raw material, especially agricultural raw material, food grains, or we can say that the spices. Okay, so that was the major exporting, let's say, goods, while these were imported. Now, Chatuspatis or tolls in Bihar and Bengal respectively were the centers of higher education. Now this is correct. Along with that, for Sanskrit language, at that time, the major center of learning was Kashi, or we can say Varanasi. So we can say the first and third statement is correct here. 1 and 3 only, that is D is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. The next question regarding the languages and the related areas or states in India. Okay, languages, Koraga. So yes, Koraga is basically spoken by a certain tribal people, Koriga, or we can say tribal people living in Dakshin Kannada district of Karnataka and some parts of Kerala. So this is incorrect. Okay, tribal language, we can say it is a Dravidian language. All these are Dravidian languages. From that also you can eliminate that Kashmir will not be there. Irula, again we can say Irula tribe living in, we can say that Nilgiri district or Nilgiri of Tamil Nadu and some part of, we can say, Kerala and Karnataka. And Sholaga is also, we can say that the Soliga tribes, and Soliga tribal people, they are living in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, we can say that region. So this is incorrect. All three pairs, or we can say that they are, sorry, pardon me, the one pair, that is Tamil Nadu and Irula, this one is correct. First is incorrect, third is incorrect. So only one, that is A, is the correct answer, right? A is the correct answer. The next question is related to Mukundrao Patil, okay, the caste movements in India. Mukundrao Patil, prominent spokesperson of Satya Shodhak Samaj, edited Neel Darpan. Okay, so to attract the attention towards social and economic exploitation. So Neel Darpan is somehow, it is written for the indigo revolt in Bihar, and from that one should eliminate this. Okay, तो यहाँ पर जो है दीन बंधु जो है वो एडिट किया गया था. This is incorrect. You can eliminate this. This is incorrect. The बहिष्कृत हितकर्णी सभा was used by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to demand recruitment for the backward classes in army, navy and police also. That is true. Yes, the backward classes participation in we can say that the government that was promoted by this particular organization, and this was set up or established by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar himself. So this is correct. We can say 2 only is the correct answer here. 2 only, right? The next question. Yes, whispering gallery in India were made in such a manner that even whisperers can be clearly heard in other parts of the gallery. Kind of echo. Okay, so the design of the architecture was in that manner. In which of the following is not among the examples of whispering gallery in India? So Gol Gumbaz in Karnataka, yes, it is famous for this only. Victoria Memorial in Kolkata, yes. West Bengal, it is also having this feature. Gol Ghar Granary in Bankipur, Bihar. That is also having name से भी याद रखना चाहिए ना, आपको समझना है, ठीक है. विट्ठल टेम्पल in Hampi, Karnataka. This is we can say not having, not पूछा गया है. So D is the correct answer. And the last question. Okay. With reference to Western Ganga dynasty, consider the following statements. Western Ganga dynasty during we can say 900 AD to 1000 AD, and it ruled in the we can say that Gangavadi region that lies in present day Mysore, Tumkuru and Kolar, that region. Okay, Bangalore, Kolar, that region. Ruled over the place called as Gangavadi region, which was divided into 2 sections. Now this is incorrect. It was divided into 3 sections. The Malnad region, semi-Malnad region, and third was we can say plains. It was plains. An important contribution of Western Gangas to art is the numerous hero stones and freestanding monoliths called as stambhas. This is correct we can say, and several such stambhas were later found. Under the administration of Western Ganga, Govundas served as superintendents from many socio-economic strata, including craftsmen. Now this is incorrect. No, I told you administration they will ask. So Western Ganga dynasty, Govundas are basically the elite people, or we can say landlords of that time in that region. ठीक है, तो ये क्या हो गया? Incorrect हो गया. पहला incorrect है, only 2 or 2 only is the correct answer. C is the correct answer for this question. All right, so these are the history question, and if you have any question you can ask in the comment box. Thank you.
So hello everyone, it is good to see that you have attempted the Panchsutra test 1, and my name is Zahidul. I am going to take the discussion of the science and technology questions in Panchsutra test 1. Alright, so the questions were numbered from 51 to 60, means there are 10 questions in the Panchsutra test. Alright, so this is the first question that we are going to discuss. So this question is related to cell biology, especially it is related to cell division. Okay, so it is related to cell biology and cell division. So basically in this particular question we have asked, let's say, specific topics or specific questions related to how cell division happens. So there are 2 ways, right? One is known as mitosis, other is known as meiosis. So mitosis is a cell division process, like that leads to creation of 2 identical daughter cells. All right, so mitosis goes through multiple phases, right? So related to that we have asked a question. So it says mitosis consists of several distinct phases, including prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase, which is followed by cytokinesis. Alright, so these are the 4 stages through which the cell division process happens in case of mitosis. First phase is prophase, then metaphase, then anaphase and telophase, means like within the cell, right? So these stages goes through and finally cytokinesis happens that leads to the division of the cells. Okay, so mitosis generally happens in all types of somatic cells. For example, if we talk about human beings, right, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. 22 pairs of chromosomes are let's say like divide, I mean like cell division happens, right, through mitosis. Okay, so these are also known as somatic cells. I mean like, you know, so mitosis is the process. So identical daughter cells are created. For example, if you talk about bloods, okay, blood cell. So blood is regenerated, then blood gets destroyed also, they die, blood cells also die. So this process is known as mitosis. But however, if we talk about meiosis, right, so they are asking about meiosis. It says during meiosis, the daughter cells produced are genetically identical to the parent cell and each other. This statement is wrong. Why? Because meiosis happens in case of germ cells. I mean like, you know, so the daughter cells that are generated, so they are not identical to the parent cells. They are known as haploid cells in case of meiosis. So only one statement is correct, right? So mitosis, meiosis, they are mentioned in class 9th NCERT. A bit of it is mentioned, but like, you know, these stages are not mentioned. But if you go through the, let's say 11th and 12th standard biology, you will come across, let's say like, you know, those topics, all right? So apart from this, now let us talk about the next question. So it says, consider the following statements regarding AI Action Summit 2025. So recently you might have come across in news that like AI Action Summit has been conducted in France, and India was invited as a co-chair of the, let's say, AI Action Summit. So India and France co-chaired this particular summit, and in this summit they have discussed all possibilities related to artificial intelligence, right, and its development, right, research and development which is happening. Also they have discussed about what challenges can artificial intelligence pose. So related to that, we have three statements. First statement says the summit was co-chaired by France and India. This statement is right. Second, participants included representatives from over 100 countries focusing on AI safety and governance. So more than 100 countries participated in that AI Action Summit, all right? And third, the summit concluded with the establishment of AI Foundation and Council for Sustainable AI. So basically, I mean like, you know, in this summit, they have discussed that they are going to establish, okay, AI Foundation and Council for Sustainable AI. All right, so that discussion has happened, okay, discussion has happened. It has been agreed upon that like, you know, AI Foundation and Council for Sustainable AI will be established, okay. So actual establishment has not happened, I mean like in paper it has happened, so we can consider that like, you know, that it has happened, all right. So all the three statements are correct in that case. Are you understanding? So that was a summit. So summit has led to the, I mean like in conclusion that AI Foundation and Council for Sustainable AI will be established. Now we have another question. This question is from a different area altogether. So this question is related to cyber attacks. So now we are discussing about cyber security. And why we are discussing about this topic? Because recently, let's say like, you know, the Karnataka state government maintains a portal which is known as Kaveri portal. So they have Kaveri 2.0, which is a revamped portal. So through Kaveri 2.0, basically Karnataka government provides services to the citizens, all right. So in that particular portal, there has been a cyber attack, and that cyber attack is known as distributed denial of service. So what happens in distributed denial of service? Let's consider one website is running, right, which is managed by a legitimate, let's say like, you know, person or organization, and multiple people visit that website, and huge number of people visit that website that lead to, I mean like, server going down, all right. So this is a technique also, I mean like, you know, people can create bots, and using that bot they can reduce the performance of the website by, I mean, simultaneously making the bot visit the website. This is known as distributed denial of service attack. So it leads to the, I mean like, you know, slowdown of the server, and during this process, let's say like, you know, the attackers, hackers, they may, I mean like, you know, exploit other vulnerabilities in the website. So this particular question is related to that. So it says a distributed denial of service attack involves numerous devices releasing an excessive amount of traffic to make servers or networks unusable for regular access, okay. So this statement is generally right. This statement is right. All right. So in general cases also it happens that, like, in a server which is limited, if huge number of people visit at the same time, the server goes down unless and until we upgrade that server. All right. Then second statement, the Kaveri 2.0 portal of Karnataka faced performance issues due to distributed denial of service attacks. Okay, this statement is also right. Third statement, DDoS attacks can serve as a distraction while more serious cyber attacks such as data breaches take place. Okay, this statement is also right, because generally what people do, people first of all attack a server using DDoS technique. I mean, like, so that, like, all attention of the authorities goes into that addressing the DDoS attack, and meanwhile the attackers, the hackers, they exploit other vulnerabilities into the system. All right, so all the three statements are correct. It means option D is the right answer in this question. Now we have another question. This is question number 4. Now this question is related to biology. Okay, basically biology, or you can say biotechnology. Here we are talking about synthetic biology. Okay, synthetic biology. What do we mean by synthetic biology? Basically, like, biology we know, like, basic study of biological systems, that is biology. Synthetic biology means you are using engineering also to make some changes into the biological products. You're making, let's say, biological products using engineering methods, bioinformatics, mathematics, a lot of things you're doing. Okay, that is known as synthetic biology. So synthetic biology has led to the advancement in vaccine development, including the creation of safer live attenuated vaccines through genome modifications. This statement is right. I mean, like, this is one of the application of synthetic biology. Using synthetic biology, we develop vaccines also, and we develop safer live attenuated vaccines as well. Okay, the field primarily aims to create organisms that can survive in extreme conditions with limited focus on biomanufacturing or drug production. This statement is wrong. Okay, why this statement is wrong? Because the thing is, like, this particular field does not aim to it does aim to create organism, but the thing is, it has huge focus, very high focus on biomanufacturing or drug production. Okay, that's why second statement is wrong. Correct answer is option A. Okay, one only. Now let us talk about another question, question number 55. All right, so this question is related to Bhashini. What is Bhashini? Bhashini stands for Bhasha Interface for India. Bhasha Interface for India. Bhasha means language. Language interface for India. So this particular interface will help you to translate any text into multiple Indian languages. As of now, we can translate any text into 22 Indian languages. So it says it is an artificial intelligence-led language translation platform to provide technology translation services in 22 scheduled Indian languages. All right. So this statement is right. Now let us talk about the next statement. Okay. It says it has been launched in 2022 under the National Language Translation Mission. This statement is also right. Okay. Second statement is also right, related to Bhashini. Now let us discuss about another question, another statement, which is statement number 3 in this particular question. So it says it is implemented by the Digital India Bhashini division, a division under the Digital India Corporation. Okay, this statement is also right. All the three statements are right. Correct answer is option D here. Okay, so Bhashini is a interface, is a platform where you can translate one text in one language into another language. So it is dedicated for Indian languages, right? Now we have another, another question. Question number 56. Consider the following statements about the applications of next generation sequencing. Okay, you might have heard about DNA sequencing and all, right? RNA sequencing, DNA sequencing and all. But here we are talking about next generation sequencing, the same sequencing, but now the process has become faster. And then there are many other advantages also of next generation sequencing. All right, so related to that, we have this question. So question number 1 says, next generation sequencing can be utilized for whole genome sequencing, targeted reach sequencing, RNA sequencing to study gene expression. This statement is right. I mean, like, these all are different applications of next generation sequencing. Now, if we talk about the second statement, it says one of the limitations of next generation sequencing is that it cannot detect structural variation in genomes. This statement is wrong because it can detect, okay, it can detect structural variations in genomes, and we have given detailed explanation related to this, right? So like you can download the explanation from the description of this YouTube video, all right? So there we have included images, graphs, everything. So correct answer is option A, one only. So with this, now let us talk about another question, question number 57. And this question is related to superconductivity, all right? It is related to superconductivity and its applications. So last year you might have come across, in 2024, you might have come across multiple news articles where people claimed that superconductivity has been achieved at room temperature. But is it true? No, later on it was found that it is not true. Why? Because like at this point of time it has not yet been achieved, but like, you know, scientists are continuously working to achieve superconductivity at room temperature. Has superconductivity been achieved? Yes, but it has been achieved at very below room temperature. I mean, like, you know, minus 273 Kelvin. I mean, like, so at a very low temperature. So related to that, we have three statements. First, it says superconductors exhibit zero electrical resistance and Meissner effect. Okay, this statement is right. What is Meissner effect? Meissner effect is that, let's say, like, you know, what happens, let's say, like, when a particular superconductor, let's say, like, you know, when a conductor conducts electricity, so in that case, like, you know, it will expel the magnetic fields, right? So that is known as Meissner effect. So we have already given details related to Meissner effect in the file. Diagrams are also included. You can quickly go through it, all right? If you have any questions, you can write it in the comment section, okay? So we'll be there. Second, the critical temperature of a superconductor conductor is typically above room temperature for most known superconductors. This is wrong because it is typically below the room temperature. Okay, it is below the room temperature, and we are continuously, scientists from around the world are trying to achieve superconductivity above room temperature so that we can create superconductors that operate at room temperature. So it will lead to lesser, let's say, loss of electricity, lesser loss of energy, all right? Now its third statement, type 1 superconductors can tolerate. This statement is wrong. Why? Because type 1 superconductors cannot tolerate very high magnetic fields, okay, cannot tolerate. They cannot tolerate very high magnetic fields without losing their superconducting properties, while type 2 superconductors lose their. So it is, let's say, like, you know, written like in opposite thing. Type 1 can, let's say, like, you know, type 1 superconductors lose their superconductivity. However, type 2, they do not lose the superconductivity. That's the thing. So third statement is also wrong. We have also given detailed explanation related to type 1 and type 2 superconductors. So what is basically, like, what is type 1 and type 2 superconductors? Type 1 superconductors do not tolerate high magnetic fields. They lose their superconducting properties abruptly when the applied magnetic field exceeds a certain critical value. When we talk about type 2 superconductors, they can tolerate high magnetic fields. They enter a mixed state when superconducting and non-superconducting regions coexist, allowing them to maintain superconductivity even in intense magnetic fields. Okay, so this is the kind of definition of type 1 and type 2 superconductors. Now if we talk about another question, which is question number 58. So what this question says, consider the following statements regarding 5G technology. This question is from 5G technology, and as you know, 5G technology is being adopted in India. It has started penetrating in India. Many people, even let's say in urban cities, basically 5G is being used by people, but like, you know, slowly and gradually it's going to percolate. Now three statements are there related to 5G technology. It says 5G technology offers peak data speeds of up to 10 Gbps and significantly lower latency compared to 4G. This statement is right. Second, it supports a massive number of connected devices simultaneously, making it usable, suitable for Internet of Things. This statement is also right. Third, the Indian government has launched the National Digital Communications Policy NDCP to promote the deployment and adoption of 5G technology. This statement is also right. So all the three statements are right. Option C is the right answer. All right. Now we have another question, question number 59. All right. So it says, consider the following statements about IRIS chip developed by ISRO and IIT Madras. Okay. So this IRIS chip is very new. It is in news, and so like chip means like semiconductor chip has been fabricated in India. It has been developed in India. So it's a huge achievement for India. It may lead to, let's say, like semiconductor facility establishment in India. And this particular application is more important. Why? Because like this semiconductor chip has been developed so that it can be used, right, in space applications. So that's why it is important. So the chip named IRIS is based on Shakti processor and is intended for space applications. This statement is right. The chip can be utilized in various domains including Internet of Things and computing systems. This statement is also right. Now we have another statement. The project is a part of the Digital India Risk-V initiative aimed at promoting indigenous development of microprocessor-based product. This is also right. Correct answer is option C. All the three are correct. All right. Now we have another question, which is question number 60. Consider the following statements regarding microbiome research. All right. So this is from biology. All right. So like from chip, semiconductor, we are moving to biology now. The holobiont concept emphasizes that humans and their microbiota function as a single ecological unit, influencing health and disease, right? Holobiont concept, I mean like it's a concept in biology basically. It says that human beings and microbiota are part of the single entity. They should not be viewed separately. They should be viewed as a single entity altogether, and then it will help us to identify health related aspects, disease related aspects and all. So this holobiont concept is used for human beings also. It is used for other kind of living organisms as well. Okay, maybe plant also. We have plant let's say like holobiont concept, right? First statement is right. Recent advancements in microbiome research have focused solely on gut microbiome, neglecting on their microbial communities within the human body. This statement is wrong, because like we have focused, let's say, more on this particular thing, which is gut microbiome, but the thing is we have not neglected this microbiome, let's say holobiont concept, for other microbial communities within the human body. So that makes only statement 1 to be correct. All right. So that's all from my side.